Hey guys, what's up? I'm going to teach you how to make this big kind of stacked chords like this. So it's the kind of thing that you hear in a lot of melodic dubstep, but you could really apply this to anything, electro, house, trance, really. So it takes a little while to do, so we'll get right into it. This is going to be the first of two tutorials. The first one I'm going to do sound design, and then the second one I'm going to do processing. So we'll get right into it. We're going to open up an instance of Massive, and we're going to go into the envelope and turn the level all the way up. See how this sounds? Maybe turn it down a little bit. Oops, sorry. Alright, so we're going to make sort of a super saw thing. So we're going to go to saw 1. Going to turn on the amp for oscillator 2, and then have another saw. This one we're going to go up an octave. Alright, and that's pretty much it for this. We're also just going to use some phase modulation on oscillator 2. So oscillator 2, and then we're going to, it's kind of just to taste, just to get some extra harmonics out of here. So. And then one more thing, we're going to go to the voicing and turn unisono up to 7, and the pan position all the way to the left. Okay, so we're going to call that one clean, as in not any detuning going on. So we'll close that, and we can duplicate him. So now we just have a second one, and we're going to call this one detuned. To save some time for routing, we're going to go to in. We can delete this MIDI track, and we're going to go to the input, and we're going to have it come from clean. This way we just need one MIDI clip, and this one will sort of play whatever is in this MIDI clip. So this is what we have. This is actually just the same thing because we just duplicated it, but we're going to go into this Massive. We're going to start detuning things just by sense. You get a really awesome timbre when you start detuning things by just a little bit, so I'll show you. We can also add another saw wave. You can also try saw 2 as a little different timbre. So that's pretty cool. We can also add a couple more voices if we want. And we can go to the pitch cutoff, the universal one, and just drag it to the right slightly. Cool. We can also use the dimension expander to sort of widen the sound. Just a little bit on the dry wet. Maybe turn it down a little bit so we're not clipping. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to add a new MIDI track. And this one we're going to use Serum. And it's going to be a pretty basic patch, just 2 saw waves. And we're going to turn the unison all the way up to 16. We're going to set this in, again from clean. It's all going to be playing the same thing. So let's hear that. Maybe mess with the detune a little bit, take it down. And then obviously take the master down. Alright, so this is what we have total so far. Alright. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to add a sort of low-pass square wave, so we get more low-mid beef. So we'll call this one low-mid. And we can do this in Massive. So we're just going to have 2 square waves. Take the second one down an octave. Should have this. We got to do the routing again, sorry. Clean. So go back into the envelope and make sure it's fully up on the level. And then we can use the filter to sort of get rid of all that upper content, or we can just use an auto filter. I'm just going to do that, it's easier. So maybe at 400 hertz or so. Okay, so this is what we have total. And notice if I take away the low mid, listen to the difference. Definitely has more weight now. I'm just going to take everything down a couple decibels. And okay, so these are our 4 chord synths that we need. So I'm going to highlight them and I'm just going to make them red, just so it's easier. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 more MIDI tracks. The first one we're going to call lead, and then the second one we're going to call white noise. So the lead is a really important layer in all of this. What I usually do is I do a monophonic upper octave lead, and you can really do it in anything. This one's especially important because it adds a lot of character to the sound as a whole. So I like to go for something that's really textured, and Serum is pretty great for texture, but it doesn't have to be done in Serum. Anything upper octave, monophonic, and especially if you get vibrato on it, vibrato works really well with it. So we can actually just browse some patches. I don't know, we can try some out. Let's see, maybe this one. Oh, it's obnoxious. Yeah, that's a little too... I mean, it could work. We'll keep browsing. That would be interesting. Yeah, that would work very well, actually. Square leads tend to work really well. Cool, actually, we could just use that. So, definitely has a lot of movement and texture in it. So for this one, we're just we can copy down the MIDI clip, and then we'll take a listen. I like it when it's pretty high up in the audio spectrum, so let's see. We'll play around with it and see what works. Let's see, we'll just write in a quick part. And you can go a lot more complex than this with the whole melody and everything, but just for now, we'll try this. That's pretty good. And then for the next one, we're going to do the same thing that we did here with the routing. We're going to go to in, and we're going to take it from the lead this time, because this white noise layer is just going to be using just one voice. So we could do this in massive. We're going to turn off oscillator 1. Just make sure that the noise oscillator is on, and we can choose bright noise, amp all the way up, color all the way up. We can do 2 voices, take the pan position on, make it all the way to the left so it's extra wide. We can even use a dimension expander to make it even wider. And then we have this. Take the level all the way up. And then take that down. Okay, so this is what we have total. So it's already starting to shape up. We can make these 2, let's say, orange. And then we're going to do our last part for sound design, and we're going to do the bass. So we're going to do, we can make a saw bass, and we can make sub. we'll get the MIDI in first. So again, we'll do the same thing with routing. And we can probably just take the lower voice of these chords to make a bass line. So let's see. We can use massive again. Make sure the level's all the way up. Sine wave all the way on the left, so it's just a pure sine going through. We can start writing the bass line now. Might just take the lower voice, just like this. Alright, take this down an octave. Let's see, what else can we do? We hear that clicking, and we can get rid of that by adding just a little bit of attack. A little more. There we go. And we can use the second oscillator. I like to use a smooth square. Take it down an octave. Maybe take the intensity down. That's pretty good. I think that's all we can do with this one. And then our last one is going to be a saw bass. And the saw bass is important pretty much for the same reason as the lead, in that the lead really defines the character of the whole stack, and the saw bass really comes through too. So we'll try that out. We could just make a quick saw patch. And it doesn't have to be a saw. I like to experiment with all the different oscillators, especially these. A couple of these are really nice. I like polysaw too. Sorry. So that's here. So we'll do we want that coming from the sub. Try to find something that works. Something that's not too dirty or anything. Together. Then add the chords. Add the lead. This serum down a couple decibels. And that is it for the patches. So after this we can go in and EQ everything, and then we can group them and post-process the whole group. Just so we know kind of what it sounds like in context. I'm just going to add a quick sidechain so we can hear it with drums and everything. So let's see. Starting to shape up for sure. And then once we get a lot of things post-processed, it will probably start sounding a bit more like this. So yeah, that's part one. Hope this was helpful. Here's a link to part two. Yep, see you in a bit.